The next question is from Enrico3817. Hi Enrico, his other name is Matt. Hi Matt. Hi, I was just wondering if you can give me some advice. Of course. I've got a new tenor sax and I'm having trouble with one of the notes. Just one? That's quite good. When I play G on the second octave, I'm assuming he means with the register key, the note wobbles pretty badly. I can control it with my embouchure to a degree, but I was wondering if this is a common issue that needs fixing, or do I just need more work with embouchure strength? Many thanks if you get time to answer. Alright Matt, that's an excellent question, and to answer your question, I'm going to get a saxophone. Be right back. Okay, so Matt, with problems on the actual instrument itself, so you're struggling with this G. G with the octave key, and I'm assuming we're meaning this one, and G sharp. Now, those two notes can be problematic. They can cause a bit of an issue. And that issue is caused because the G is the first note that moves between the normal crook octave valve up here and the auxiliary. So there is a big pressure difference when you move between, say, F with the octave key and G with the octave key. Now that can cause a lot of issues. The change in pressure can cause a lot of issues in itself, so the wobbles or squeaks or things like that. But G's and G sharp is the one that generally causes people the most problems. So, first of all, make sure your sax is working. A little bit like Angelina's problem, you know, what's happening with this new saxophone? Is it working? We need to make sure that it is 100% absolutely working. One thing that can happen if you've got a leak on your crook, so your crook here, if you've actually grabbed this and moved it and bent the pin, then that's likely to leak. If that's leaking, then this can happen. So I'm playing a G. All sorts of funny things can happen if this is slightly vented or it's leaking as you're playing that G. So we want to make sure that this key is fixed. We also want to make sure that the auxiliary octave valve, which is in here, I'll try and zoom in somehow, maybe we can do it on the other camera. I'm pointing on it here. This auxiliary octave valve there, I'll try and zoom in best I can on the video, but bear in mind that might not go brilliant. You've got an auxiliary octave key just on the side here. That key is in a bit of a prime area for loads of saliva and spit to go down and actually get gunked up in that hole. So what I want to make sure of is that that hole is actually clear. So you can actually just, every time you play, just get into the habit of just blowing across that tone hole. What I'm going to do is I'm just venting it, so I'm playing a normal G there, 1, 2, 3, with the octave key. I'm blowing across that tone hole. That way I'm just, each time I'm getting rid of the saliva there, and hopefully that should make the sax last a little bit longer. You'll find that that pad often needs replacing on saxes as well. Okay, so let's assume that your sax is absolutely super, and actually this is an embouchure or support problem. Now, I'm assuming that the sound that you're getting is this one. So if I play G with the octave key and I sort of shunt my jaw forwards a little bit, I push my lip down, you might get this sort of sound. You get that sort of sound. Now, that is not a very nice sound. It's what we call a multiphonic, actually. Sometimes people use that sound in kind of like far out jazz. Some people do like that sound as sort of a percussive effect. It's quite harsh. So you can actually manufacture this sound. Now, what I would like you to do, and anyone else who has squeaky G problems or growling G problems, is actually try and create that sound. Can you make that sound happen on demand? Can you make that happen straight away? If you can make it happen, then you know what you're doing in order to actually make the sound happen, and then you can try and work it backwards. This troubleshooting method is often nice. The nicest way to approach sort of problems is to do things in reverse. So if you've had a problem with the squeaky G, then we'll make the squeaky G happen and then try and undo it actually as you do it. So if I want to stop it growling, well, what I'm doing there is I'm actually pulling my lip in a little bit. I'm actually putting less pressure down here, further down the reed, and more pressure a little bit back on the reed. So it could just be that you're simply taking in too much mouthpiece and that's what's making this G happen. It could be that you're putting too much pressure on the reed down here, because I find I'm actually pushing my lip out, I'm jutting my jaw out to make this happen. So I was wondering if you curl your lip in and come closer to the tip of the reed in this sort of direction, curl the lip in, come close to the tip of this reed, see if that G or that G sharp still makes that horrible noise. If it does, then well, we're getting on to maybe there's a problem with the sax. So the other thing is, hear the note that you're actually playing. So if you know that you're playing a G, try and reference that note. Ba, ba, ba. That's, you know, a midish note, so actually I'm thinking about where that's actually placed. I almost feel like it's in sort of the back of my throat, that note. It's not sort of down here. I'm not really forwards and low as if I was playing a low C or something. I'm actually quite high up. You know, the eyebrows actually help actually to raise the soft palate a little bit and give you a little bit more sort of an upper note sort of feeling. So there's your G and your G sharp. So know where that note is actually placed in the throat, and you can almost try singing it. Ba, ba, ba. If you get close to that note and then try and play it, you'll find you'll have much more success with it as well. And then drill that and repeat that, and you'll find that that note will become more and more stable over the course of time. The other thing is, think about where the actual note is coming from. How much of this tube are you using when you play this G? So is it coming out of here? Is that where the air is escaping from? So remember that where the sound actually comes from is where the first open key is. It doesn't come out of the bell. The bell is literally just amplification. It comes out of behind the key. So get used to actually thinking, right, if I'm playing the G, I'm actually coming out of this part of the saxophone. So I'm only actually playing down this part of the saxophone. So I'm going to push enough air down, and I'm going to visualize it coming out of this part of the saxophone. You'll also find that you'll get a better sound that way, and a more in tune and clear G as well. I've actually got a video on SaxCasts that's all about breath support, making sure that we're breathing properly. So the support is really, really important. Making sure that you're giving the sax enough air for that reed to vibrate for a G. If you haven't got the right support, then that's going to be problematic too. Alright, cheers Matt, I hope that helps you. Let me know how you get on. I'd love to hear a response to this to see if these tips have actually helped you out. Let's move on to the next question.